Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And as is usually the case, I agree substantially with your assessment. And the budget certainly is where the problem starts. I mean, first of all, we don't have one. This is the latest we've gone in history, I believe, without getting a budget. It is very important. I know you gentlemen are not in charge of that, but to the extent that you have influence, if we could encourage the White House to get this process moving, that would be enormously helpful. It's difficult for Congress to do its job and adequately fund our needs without having the starting point of the President's budget. But the second problem is what the Chairman alluded to. Within the needs that we know that we're looking at in the Air Force's area, there's a lot to cram in there, and it does not appear like it's going to all fit. So I'm particularly curious, as you're trying to balance, as we move towards the F-47, the former NGAD, we try to upgrade the nuclear triad, meet our fighter attack needs, deal with the UAVs, all of that space. How does that come together and fit into a budget that makes sense? Because it seems like we are starting a lot of programs that ultimately we're not going to be able to afford to fund all of them. So it'd be better if we made choices up front. So we're going to have a lot of questions about how does that work? How does all of these programs go forward and we still wind up with the budget that we need? In space, I am encouraged by the improvements that have been made on building a resilient architecture. Space is so central to everything we do in terms of secure communications, dealing with contested logistics. We've made a lot of progress, and I want to thank the Chairman, and in absentia, thank Mr. Cooper, former member. It was the Chairman and Mr. Cooper who had the vision to create the Space Force in the first place. I think that's enormously important. But we'd like to get further updates on how that architecture is being updated to make it more resilient and meet all of those very difficult needs. Lastly, as I'm sure you've heard, acquisition reform is an enormous priority for this committee and for Congress. We're going to take a big swing at it this year. We'd be curious to hear your thoughts about what that looks like. Sadly, within your department, between the tanker, the F-35 and the Sentinel, we have a lot of experience with programs that went way over budget. What have we learned? How can we do that better? And then connected to that as well, something we talked about yesterday, taking advantage of a lot of, in many cases, smaller, innovative companies that are building crucial things around missiles, satellites, UAVs that are much cheaper and much more effective in many instances. How do we integrate those new innovative companies into the defense department so we can take advantage of the technologies and the equipment that they're building? With that, I look forward to your testimony, and I yield back.